This book was a death sentence. Japan, 1716. A man is executed for possession of the wrong manuscript. This is the Hippu Zukai, 3 volumes, 3 levels of war. And for 300 years, they were the most dangerous books in Japan. Why? Because they didn't just contain information, they contained total battlefield control. Troop formations that won wars without fighting. Walls that couldn't be climbed. Communication systems that commanded armies through chaos. The Tokugawa Shogunate guarded these secrets with death. Every copy tracked, every reader monitored. Because whoever mastered these techniques controlled Japan. Tonight, we're revealing every secret. The general's brain. Look at these diagrams. At first glance, they look like abstract art. Lines, geometric patterns painted in vibrant reds, blues, and golds. But these dots aren't decorative. Each one represents a unit of warriors, archers, cavalry, spearmen. And these patterns, they're death traps. This is the Koshu style, the official military doctrine of the Tokugawa Shogunate. Welcome to the art of lethal chess. See this formation? It's called the crane wing. 10,000 men arranged in a perfect V-shape designed to envelop an enemy army like a predator's jaws. The enemy marches into what looks like an open field. Then the wings close. There's no escape. Here's the fish scale formation, overlapping units that create an impenetrable defensive wall while maintaining offensive flexibility. It's mathematical, it's geometric, it's psychological warfare, because here's what most people don't understand about samurai warfare. The goal wasn't always to fight. The goal was to make the enemy surrender before the first arrow was fired. A general who could deploy his forces in perfect geometric formations sent a message. Battles were won in the mind before they were won on the field. Every commander knew exactly where to position his forces based on terrain, weather, and enemy movement. This wasn't just strategy. This was science, wind direction, sunlight, elevation, morale, all calculated, all optimized. The samurai treated war like a chess grandmaster treats the board. And if you were caught studying these diagrams without authorization, your head would decorate a pike outside Edo Castle. But the general's brain is only one layer of war. The real carnage happened on the ground. The soldier's machine. Forget the Hollywood image of samurai in gleaming armor charging into battle with katanas. That's myth. This is reality. Look at these technical drawings. This is the shingaki, portable bamboo fencing. But this isn't ordinary bamboo. These panels were engineered to deflect musket balls. The 18th century had introduced firearms to Japan, and the samurai adapted instantly. See the layered construction? The angle of the weave? This was ballistic engineering before the term existed. A soldier could carry these panels on his back, deploy them in seconds, and create instant cover. The samurai didn't just fight on open fields. They fought in mountains, in rivers, in the dark. This is the physics of war. But it wasn't just about gear. It was about survival. Look at these camp fortification designs. Every samurai unit knew how to transform any location into a defensible position within hours. These sketches show fire-starting techniques for wet conditions, water purification methods, emergency medical procedures. The samurai were special forces operators 3 centuries before the term existed. And here's what's incredible. This knowledge was standardized. Every warrior in the shogunate's army had access to this manual. They trained on these techniques until they became muscle memory. The West wouldn't develop this level of military standardization for another 100 years. But even the best trained soldiers need one thing to survive: walls. The fortress. Look at this diagram. This is the Taka Ishigaki, the high stone wall. It's a masterpiece of mathematical engineering. See that curve? That's not decorative. That's the mushigaishi, literally warrior return. The wall starts at a steep 70-degree angle, then curves outward at the top. Why? Because it's physically impossible to climb. A warrior reaches the curve and has nowhere to grip. Gravity pulls them backward. Even with ropes and hooks, the angle defeats them. This design was so effective that many Japanese castles remained impregnable for centuries. But here's the genius. These walls also had to survive earthquakes. Japan sits on the Pacific Ring of Fire. Earthquakes are constant. A rigid stone wall would crumble. So look at the internal structure shown in these cross-sections. The samurai engineers created a flexible core, layers of stone and compacted earth that could absorb seismic energy. The walls could literally breathe during an earthquake, shifting without collapsing. This is 18th century seismic engineering that wouldn't be understood in the West until the 20th century. But a fortress is worthless if you can't communicate across it. And that brings us to the most sophisticated system in the entire Hippu Zukai. Look at these banner designs. The Hata Jirushi. These aren't just flags, they're a visual language. In the chaos of battle, with thousands of men screaming, drums pounding, and gunfire echoing across valleys, your voice is useless. So the samurai created battlefield Wi-Fi. See these patterns? Different colors, different shapes, different positions. Each combination communicated a specific command. Red banner raised high, full advance. A single general could control 100,000 men across an entire mountain range using nothing but flags, drums, and conch shells, the horogai. And if the communication system failed, if the banner fell, the army went blind. Chaos, defeat. This trilogy of manuals represents the peak of pre-industrial military science: brain, body, fortress, strategy, tactics, engineering. So why were these books so dangerous? Because knowledge is power. And in feudal Japan, power was tightly controlled. The Tokugawa Shogunate ruled through absolute information dominance. These manuals were distributed only to trusted daimyo, regional lords who had proven their loyalty. Each copy was marked with official seals. Each owner was registered. If you possessed these books without authorization, it meant one thing: you were planning rebellion, and the punishment was swift. But here's the irony. This obsessive secrecy preserved these books perfectly. They were treated as sacred objects, protected, hidden, passed down through generations of military families. When the shogunate finally fell in 1868, many of these manuals were destroyed. The new Meiji government wanted to modernize Japan, to abandon the old ways. Thousands of irreplaceable military documents were burned, but some survived, in private collections, in forgotten libraries. And now, in the digital age, we can finally see what the shogun's generals saw. The Hippu Zukai represents a worldview where war was an art form, where strategy was poetry, where a general's greatest weapon wasn't his sword, it was his mind. Here's what strikes me most about these manuals. They prove that the samurai were nothing like the myth. Hollywood shows us lone warriors, honor duels, dramatic one-on-one combat. The reality? The samurai were strategic geniuses, systems thinkers, engineers. They understood that wars are won through logistics, communication, and psychological dominance. The katana was secondary, the mind was primary. And that philosophy echoes today. Modern military doctrine still uses the principles shown in these books: geometric troop deployment, layered defense systems, visual communication protocols under stress. The technology changed, the principles didn't. So here's the question these 300-year-old books ask us. Do you have the mind of a general or a warrior? Do you see the battlefield or do you see the war? The Hippu Zukai. 3 books, 3 layers of war, and a legacy that survived 3 centuries of secrecy to teach us one lesson. True power isn't in the sword, it's in the strategy behind it. If you want to see more forbidden books that changed history, hit subscribe. Because next time, we're opening something even more dangerous. You won't find this anywhere else. Books to watch. Subscribe now.